time we share, with a dash of this and a pinch of that, mixed all up with care. The best company and conversation, recipes and new creations. We're cooking up something good here at home. We are cooking up something good here at home.
Well, hello and welcome to At Home Today. We're so glad you joined us, and we hope it's the kind of a day, it has been the kind of a day, or is going to be, that you can relax, put aside all the things that you've been given attention to, and just for the next 30 minutes realize, hey, I'm going to take some time out, get a cup of cappuccino or some coffee or hot tea or whatever, and relax. You deserve it. It's probably been one of those days when the kids have been running around going crazy, and you're picking them up and taking them here, or taking them there, or whatever, or doing errands for your family. All necessary, but now the time has come just to calm down and relax. So good to be with you. It always is. Feel like when you drop by, a good friend has come into the kitchen, and you know, I never get tired of friends dropping by. It's nice to have you, always. Well, today we're going to do one of the series of Cooking Light, Eating Right programs that we do, and we're going to concentrate on lowering the fats. We have heard for years and years, anytime you diet or anytime that you're trying to cut down on your intake, it's always count the calories. Well, in recent years, they're learning that the fat content is responsible for a lot of the disease that Americans in particular are experiencing. And I'll tell you why. I found this, actually this belongs to Linda Wilson. I have one of these too. This is it's a fat counter, and it has all the things that we eat, and it breaks it down, so it tells you the portion size, and then it tells you also the fat content, the calorie content of all different things. Then this back section here tells us about all the fast foods. And see, we're a nation of fast food eaters. Everybody's on the run. Like we've talked about so many times before, runs, you know, take Susie so she can do her ballet, and take Tommy so he's going to do his hockey lessons, and the husband's running here and you're running here. And so instead of cooking that good wholesome food, you go through the drive-through, you pick up a burger, get the kids some fries, and they love it. Of course they love it. There's no vegetables, there's no fruit. That's why they love it. So in the back of this book, I just want you to hear this. Now, the average person per day should have between 30 and 50 grams of fat, no more. That's for all 3 meals, snacks, and everything. That's a healthy guideline for each of us. But let me just read some of this. If you like Whoppers, you're in trouble. No. If you like Whoppers, let me tell you what a Whopper has. A Whopper double beef sandwich has 863 calories and 53 grams of fat. If you'd like to have, say, French fries with that, a regular size, it has 227 calories and 13 grams of fat. Now let's see, that's up, we're 66 grams of fat already. Now, if you have ice cream or something else with that, you can see this will go on and on and on. You can understand that's just in one meal with a burger and fries. If you happen to like a McDonald's cheeseburger, it has 13 grams of fat, that little skinny cheeseburger, and 305 calories. Or it has, in their fries, a large fry has 22 grams of fat and 400 calories. Now, this doesn't paint a very good picture, does it? I mean, you say, well, what are we going to eat? Well, there's lots of stuff to eat. Fruits, for the majority, have no fats. Vegetables, except for avocados, they're high in fat, and olives are high in fat. Eliminate those. But for the most part, every kind of vegetable, less the butter or less the margarine. Don't put that on it because that'll ruin it. Spice it up with some pepper or some lemon pepper or some seasoned salt. Spice it up with spices, and you'll be amazed at how much. You don't have to count calories, just count the total fats of your intake every day. There's ways to cut it. You can start buying the low-fat cream cheese or the no-fat cream cheese, fat-free. The dressings, if you just cut the fats out of things like that, the dressings. You can buy bread that has no fat in it. Most Italian and French breads don't have it because it's just flour, yeast, salt, and water. And so when you start being conscious and aware of how much fat that we're consuming, you have to realize that we need to cut back and cut back in a big way. So today's program is dedicated to a girl that works in our office, and I have to tell you about her. She works in our office with Linda and me, and so the three of us decided, okay, we're cutting the fats out of our diet. Now, she's this big to begin with, but she said, no, I really need to lose 5 pounds. Okay, so we started. Well, need I tell you, by mid-morning, she was ravenous and looking for something to eat, and she had a kind of a stressful morning anyway. So at lunchtime, she said, I'm going out for lunch, I'll be back. And we knew she was in trouble. When she came back, she proudly announced to all of us, well, I just had the biggest Whopper, it was dripping with grease, and I just had not a small fries, but the large fry. We calculated she came in lunch with about 70 grams of fat, but she was grinning from ear to ear because she said, I deserve it, I had a stressful morning. Well, she's prone to do that occasionally, and I guess it's all right, but there are other ways to handle stress. And today we're going to prepare some dishes that's going to help you give good food to your family and help to cut down the fat. These have almost no fat or very, very low fat. We'll get started, and we'll be right back in just a moment. Stay with us. Well, to begin with, what we're going to start is our lasagna rolls. Now you say, oh, Arlene, lasagna is so fattening. Well, what makes it fattening? It's not the pasta. Those are good carbohydrates in pasta. But what makes it fattening is all the cheese. So what we're going to make today is a different filling. Instead of all cheese, we're going to be using some spinach, and we're going to make a very simple, easy sauce. I have about a teaspoon of canola oil here, or vegetable oil, but this is lower in fat. And we're going to get that hot, and we're going to brown some onion in our pan because we're making a sauce for our lasagna. We need to let it cook a little bit before we start making the actual lasagna rolls themselves. So that's about a medium onion. You want to chop it up. We're going to let this brown. It's really, really important if you're going to try to change your way of thinking about fats and cooking, because it really does change a lot. You don't hurry up and throw a stick of butter in there. You don't throw the oil in there. You're mindful of all of the fats that you use. And one of the best investments that you can get if you're going to do this is a non-stick set of pans, like the Tefal or any of the other ones that's out there too. I know Corningware now makes one. And I know that Carolyn down at Balcony Cookware has a good variety of pots and pans that she could help you out if you're looking for something like this. But that's a real good investment, because if you have a good non-stick pan, you don't have to worry about putting fats in the skillet at all. You can spray some Pam in there, make wonderful omelets without ever putting butter or fat of any kind in those pans. So this is going to start cooking, and this sauce, after it gets going pretty good here, this should be just till tender. Then we're going to add a can of Italian tomatoes. Okay. There's our can of Italian tomatoes. Get all the good juice out of there. And don't drain them. Keep the liquid in there with them. And we have just about 2 teaspoons of sugar, which I'm going to measure like this. It's about 2 teaspoons. And some tomato paste. Get my little, see if I have my little skinny one here. There it is. This is tomato paste that we want to be sure, because this will thicken your sauce. You always use paste to thicken a sauce of any kind. So far, there's absolutely no fat in this sauce. I hope you're watching that, except for that little teaspoon that was in there originally. And like I remind you again, if you use the canola oil, doesn't have the bad fats, as they call it, like the olive oil and all the others. But this is just the 6-ounce can of tomato paste. Get down in there and get it all out, get it real good. There's a lot of bread and rolls that you can use that you don't have to worry about fats, because they have not used fats in the preparation of them. The only thing you have to really be careful about is when you're counting fat, you think, oh, it doesn't have any fat, so I can eat it. But sometimes those things are high in calories, so because the sugar content is high. So just be careful when you're thinking about this and you're planning this. Be very, very careful to not just throw caution to the wind and just eat all that you want. They have a lot of fat-free pretzels out there, a lot of snacks now. There's a lot of help if you really want to do this. But the pretzels are, 1 ounce has 100 calories, so you can have a little bit of that, but you can't just throw caution to the wind as far as the calories is concerned. You really have to balance it all out, and that's a good rule in life. Just balance everything if you can. Okay, as you're cooking this, you're going to want to like let the tomatoes start to like really cook up, and this should simmer for about 15 minutes. Really, that's all it will take. Let's see, let me see what else I have to add here. Let's have some Italian seasoning, about a teaspoonful. Just sprinkle that around. That gives it that good old smell like, boy, this is good sauce cooking. And we're going to need some salt, not too much salt, and about 3/4 of a cup of water. And we're going to let that go for just about 15 minutes. And every once in a while, when you give it some attention, just start to mash out those tomatoes, because we don't want those great big pieces. In fact, I'll tell you, I would even maybe throw that in a blender or else get the crushed ones. You could do it either way. But this will definitely work. And as this cooks down, this sauce will thicken because, again, the tomato paste in it is what's going to make it really tasty. I'm going to add some pepper, fresh ground pepper here. I like lots of pepper because I like to taste it. All right? And we'll let that simmer while we're preparing our lasagna rolls. And that's a very simple, easy way of preparation. We take a bowl. We've already cooked our lasagna noodles. They're already cooked, and they're not real soft. They're kind of al dente. Let them be a little bit firm, because when you have to work with them, if you make them too soft, they all break apart. In a bowl, we're going to combine, let me get my recipe here. Linda laughs because she has to increase this like 100% so I can see it. Well, anyway, I can still see it. So into this we're going to take, well, first of all, this calls for half a package, a 1 pound package of the lasagna noodles. Cook those, have them drained, and have them cool. Then we're going to take, now here again is the light ricotta. If you can find it, we had difficult finding, you can find fat-free ricotta. Now, if you can do that, that's even better. And you take the 1 pound container. This has a few grams of fat, but really they do have a completely free, fat-free ricotta cheese. And we've taken our 1 package of frozen spinach, cooked it, put it in a strainer, and pressed all the juice out as much as we could. We're going to add that into our cheese mixture. And let's see, we're going to add some black pepper here. Okay. And some Parmesan cheese. Now that's the highest of anything that we're using here is the Parmesan. And this calls for 2 tablespoons. And that's just to give it a taste. There's 1, and there's 2. Okay? Give or take about a few morsels. You know how I'm so exact on this, like fun. All right, and what you're going to do is spray your casserole dish with some Pam, because that stuff works great. I'll tell you, that's one of the best helpers when you're cutting the fats out of your diet, because if you use Pam in your skillet, use Pam in, instead of greasing that with butter or Crisco or whatever, if you'll just use that, it's amazing how wonderful you can still pick up some flavor, because they have the oil flavor Pam, and they also have butter flavor Pam. And these are things that really cut it out for you. Everybody that I've talked to that has been on this type of a diet says what you do is you lose the pounds when you check the scale, but you feel it coming off of your body because your own body fat is being used instead of adding the fats. So we're going to take one of our lasagna noodles, and we're going to, after we've mixed our filling, our spinach, very well, then we're going to take a spoonful, about 1/4 of a cup is what this requires, and we're going to spread it. We'll spread it all over the noodle, spread the filling. Okay? If we do that, and we're going to roll this up. This is a long, one whopping long noodle here. Okay? Now we roll it up, into a roll like so. And then with this wide noodle, take a serrated edge. That's an edge of a knife that dips like that, not the straight knife. And we cut it in half. And we're going to stand that up, the curly side up like that, in our dish. Now I'm going to go ahead and continue doing this. If you have a small one like that, it doesn't matter because a noodle's a noodle and someone's going to get it if it's big or little. And they're going to enjoy it. Just spread it on, roll it up, and cut it in half. Now, the calorie content in this is very, very light, as is the fat content. There's like 2 grams of fat in 2 of those big rolls. We put the sauce on top of it and bake it in the oven. Tell you what, that is going to be a delicious, easy, quick and easy meal too. And I think it's a way to get the kids to eat the spinach, because when it's mixed like this, and it's flavored with cheeses and sauce, it kind of hides the taste of the spinach. And I think kids will enjoy it. It's worth a try, right? Because we want to get the kids eating more vegetables, more fruit, and less fat, less McDonald's, please. I worry about the kids and all that fat because you don't think about it. You just think, oh, it's a treat for them to go to McDonald's. Well, yes, it is, but, well, we have one long noodle hanging out there. Okay. And this will make, I think, about 18 rolls. And once this is done, you will cover it with our sauce. This still has to cook a little bit. Let's see, finish this out. Very simple, very easy. Like I said, if you're thinking about doing something in the way of reducing, this is so easy now. There was a time when really you didn't have much help out there, and it was very difficult to do all of this stuff with no help. But since there is so much help now, it just makes things more convenient, and you're more apt to do it because you think, well, you know, I don't have to worry about not ever having milk again because now we have skim milk or cereals or whatever it is that you happen to like. Fat-free yogurt is a wonderful substitute for ice cream. If your family's a big ice cream eaters, then you don't have a problem with that because you can give them the no-fat yogurt. And I'll tell you, the taste is wonderful. Anything with fruits in, it's wonderful. So you need to think about that when you're planning your meals for the next week. And maybe it's a gradual thing. Maybe you don't just stop and do it all at one time. Maybe it's a thing that you say, okay, I'm going to start to add these principles into my menus a little at a time so I don't shock anybody into it. And I think that's a good idea. Well, we're going to continue. I have other things I want to show you, but I need to let that sauce cook a little bit more. So maybe I'll do another one here. And we'll get these in the oven so we can show you the finished product. This is so easy to do. You see, there's nothing except boiling the spaghetti, really, and throwing a few ingredients into the saucepan, and you have a good sauce. This, if you didn't want to do the lasagna rolls, this would be an excellent sauce to just make plain old spaghetti and just put that over them. All right. I'm going to do one more. Let me do this big long one here so we can show you again. This makes plenty of filling, lots of filling left, enough to do a ½ pound. And like I said, 2 rolls is a serving, considered a serving portion. And when you have other things with that, you can put a salad with some fat-free dressing. Green beans are absolutely wonderful. Vegetables are wonderful. It's better to do the frozen than the can because the can tends to be loaded with sodium. And sometimes they even put sugar, like in some of these things. So we need to be cautious about that. All right, I'm going to put my sauce over. Oh, this is wonderful. See how thick it's gotten in just that short amount of time? And if you wanted to, you could take your potato masher and mash up the onions, and it would be wonderful. Okay, I'm going to just pour this over this. What a nice thick sauce. Does it smell good, gang? Mm-hmm. Smells delicious. Scrape it all out. Okay. Put this down under. And let me move this around here. You want to make sure that it's all covered. We'll put this in, and this bakes for about 35 minutes. And that's all, just about 35 minutes. And I'm going to get that going. Now there's another soup that is incredible because this is called skinny soup. And what skinny soup is a soup that has absolutely no fat, that you can eat as much of as you want, and you don't ever have to worry about, oh, if I eat that, I'll gain weight. This is so quick and so easy, you won't believe it. You take a large beef broth, and I have my pan getting nice and hot. Large can of beef broth. You take a large tomato juice. This is what's the basis for your skinny soup. All right? Next we add a large bean sprouts, and don't drain anything. Leave it all in there because all those flavors of all of these things are going to keep adding to the flavor of the soup. 2 cans, this makes a lot because this is what you're going to snack on each night. 2 cans of green beans. 2 cans. This is 2 cups of celery. 2 cups of celery. We're going to add, this is 3 carrots chopped up, peeled and chopped up. Here we have 1 head of cabbage. Say, Arlene, your pot's getting full. It certainly is. And I told you, this makes a lot. You could cut these portions in half if you wanted to. Now this is going to boil for as long as you want it until the vegetables get really tender, which would probably be a good hour to really get the flavors going. To this, we're going to add some onion. We're just going to cut an onion in there. It will all cook up very, very well. And this is something when everybody's sitting around at night eating and you feel left out because you can't join the party, you can have a soup party and you can enjoy a good bowl of skinny soup. You can have 3 bowls if you want to. This stuff is so healthy and so good for you. The other thing you want to add to this is the juice of a lemon, because that's going to add a lot of flavor. This little juicer thing is the handiest thing. If you ever see one at a flea market or a gadget store, it's well worth the $2 or whatever. Just get all the juice out of that. See, all of these flavors together is what's going to make it so good. Then it calls for 5 packs of sweet and low. That's your sugar substitute. If you use another kind, by all means, do it. It's not going to hurt. You just sprinkle that on top, but it has to equal, use another word, it has to be equivalent to 5 packs of sweet and low, all right? Give it a good stir, and then put the lid on and just let it go. You'll season it as you eat it with, if you want to put pepper, you could put some Tabasco hot sauce in here. This skinny soup, as it's called, is really, really tasty. Now, I have one quick thing to show you while we're letting that go. Come on over with me and we're going to show you some cucumbers that we're going to put together very quickly. We have our 3 cucumbers sliced, and they're just sitting here waiting for me to finish this last one. We peeled them, cleaned them, and now we've sliced them nice and evenly. And what we have here is almost a total no-fat dressing for these cucumbers. This is no-fat sour cream. This has been on the market for a really, really long time. And you want to take, is it a cup of that, Linda? 1 cup, about a half of this container. Okay. And to that, we're going to add 1.5 tablespoons of vinegar, 2 tablespoons of sugar, a little bit of salt, and you can either pour the salt over your cucumbers to render the juice from them if you're going to let them sit for a little while, or if not, you can pour it right in here. And then we just slice up some onion. The onion needs to be in that bowl with those cucumbers because that's what's going to pick up the really good flavor. And I would put, if you have a big, large onion, cut the pieces pretty big so that if a person doesn't like the onion, they can pick it out, okay? But some people just like the taste of it or the flavor that it leaves. Other people like that big chunk of onion. And then we're going to mix this up, and we'll pour that over the cucumbers. This is no fat, absolutely no fat. When we come back, we're going to show you the finished product of our lasagna rolls, our skinny soup, and our cream cucumbers. We'll be right back in just a minute. Well, recipe number 176, non-fat, includes the lasagna rolls that you see there and our non-fat cucumber salad that's crisp and delicious, and our skinny soup. If you can see that, just full of all the good things that we should eat and enjoy. And then I've included, it's a mix, it's called Circus Mix. We're going to include the recipe even though we didn't have time to really explain it to you and show you how to, there's no cooking to it. It's similar to that trash recipe that we made quite a while ago. I hope that we've given you some ideas today, some just kind of stirred up your creativity to think of ways that we can cut fats out of our diet, because it's really, really, really important to do so. Do it for your family, do it for your husband, do it for yourself, because it's really important for us to stay healthy and strong, keep our bodies fit, and it's not such a hard thing to do. And I think if all of us pitch in and help one another, if you've got some good fat-free recipes, why don't you send them to me and ask for recipe number 176. So until the next time, be sure to join us, because it just wouldn't be the same without you. We'll see you then.
Produce provided by Jordan Banana, wholesalers of fresh fruit and vegetables in Dravosburg, PA. Cookware provided by Woolies. Your favorite gourmet deserves the best for less from Woolly Balcony Cookware. Groceries provided by Foodland, where the answer is always yes. Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.